anything at all. How does one love? How does one see? How does one be anything at all? How does one love? How does one I get lost and I like it like that, yeah, I like it like that. Love has its cost, now on my back, cause boy, I'm bad. How does one love? How does one see? How does one be anything at all? How does one love? How does one see? How does one be anything at all?
The air's so fresh where I'm from. Palm trees, ready-made goods, don't front. Cause you was on your own time coming. Don't stop running, burning the leaves in the backyard summers. Flower-scented breeze keep warming me. Tired of the priest keep warning me. Seconds from release, it's hard to treat. I'm too scared to breathe from my beliefs. The land of freedom, the land for me. Too scared to seek, too scared to be my own, you see. But I know I just need some selfish time. I need more relics back. Give me truth to what I know. Give me ruthless weight. All these paper weights, all these sacred faces. A6 laced in strangers wasted. Flood a while you fall across the gap. No bridge stood, no man could reach. I pray 3 times a night. Hope you hear it. I'm nearing heights I dreamt of, heights I fear. And since nobody else can hear me, let my ears bleed, let my heartstrings rip. Following the tide, never was a sign. To align to the ceiling on the moon, my stride. Low G's, low weight, low everything cheap. These lights, these streaks, my guide. Too bright, can't vision, need my lenses. Blue ball in the sky, keep turning on and on and on and on and on. On and on and on and on and on. On and on and on and on and on. On and on and on and on and on. On and on and on. I'm too scared to breathe from my beliefs. The land of freedom, the land for me. Too scared to see, too scared to be on my own, you see. But I know I just need some selfish time. I need my relics back. Give me truth to what I know. Give me ruthless weight. All this paper weights, all these sacred faces. A6 laced in strangers wasted. The air's so fresh where I'm from. The air's so fresh where I'm from. The air's so fresh where I'm from. The air's so fresh where I'm from.
Skip this bit. It's not the lack of your judgment that makes you a kid. It's the lack of your substance that keeps you locked in. Oh, and keeps them talking. Oh,
Nothing's better than being home with your loved ones. You won't be alone. When it's cold out, you'll be in warm in your own bed and from the storm. Home is calling when you feel adrift. It'll always be there and never missed. Life has got you all around. You never feel you got your feet on the ground. Home sweet home is where I wanna be. Home sweet home, a place to find some peace. You are worried of what's to come, but you never know until it's all said and done. You can stay home all night and day, resting your mind, keeping all bad thoughts away. Home sweet home is where I wanna be. Home sweet home, a place to find some peace. Home sweet home is where I wanna be. Home sweet home, a place to find some peace. Nothing's better than being home with your loved ones. You won't be alone. When it's cold out, you'll be in warm in your own bed and in from the storm.
There's nothing I can do about it. There's nothing I can say about it. I tried to meditate about it. I even tried to pray about it. I'll let go before I explode. Before I explode, I'll let go before I explode. Before I explode. I used to lean on my pride, but I don't have any left. I put my heart to the side, I kept it all to myself. Who cares? Playing the cards that I'm dealt. No fair, did it without any help. Daddy, he taught me well. Never be proud of myself. Life was a living hell. I started doubting myself. Something is telling me it won't be clear until I look in the mirror. Something is telling me it won't be clear until I look in the mirror. I'll let go before I explode. Before I explode, I'll let go before I explode. Before I explode. Won't walk around with my head down. I work through the trauma till everything's okay. Sometimes it feels like I'ma drown. I work through the trauma till everything's okay. Won't walk around with my head down. I work through the trauma till everything's okay. Sometimes it feels like I'ma drown. I work through the trauma till everything's okay.
Well, I know I ain't a superhero. My eyes on laser beams, and I can't jump over buildings, and I'm afraid of everything. Like messing up around my friends, or losing my mom, or going out after dark just to walk my dog. Well, my kryptonite had a glowing green rock from outer space. It's just feeling like I'm shooting up and living out of place. Well, it's feeling like I'm still just some itty-bitty kid. Oh, feeling like I grew up knowing I never did. It's all these things that I tell myself. Well, I keep acting like nobody else has felt the same things in their heart. Well, I'm not a hero, but I better start. Well, I can't breathe underwater, but sometimes I wish I could. Not sink into the darkness and disappear for good. No boots or cape or shiny magic powers in my ring. It's just memories and fantasies on which I have to cling. It's all these things that I tell myself. Well, I keep acting like nobody else has felt the same things in their heart. Well, I'm not a hero, but I better. Well, it's all these things that I tell myself when I keep acting like nobody else has felt the same things in their heart. Well, I'm not a hero, but I better start. Well, I know I ain't a superhero. My eyes on laser beams, and I can't jump over buildings, and I'm afraid of everything.
I remember dirt in my hands, seeds of our plans, not going nowhere as fast as we can. I remember kisses from heat, haven't felt for so long. Another summer come and gone. Oh, the sun's leaving. What if I close my eyes and never happened at all? Oh, the sun's leaving. Oh, another summer come and gone. Do you ever think back, baby, when you were young and strong? Do you ever think that maybe you're the one that's wrong? Do you ever lay and cry when you hear every song? Oh, another summer come and gone. Do you ever think back, baby, when you were home alone? Do you ever think that maybe you're the one that's wrong? Do you ever lay and cry when you hear every song? Another summer come and go, summer come and go. Another summer come and go, summer come and go. Another summer come and go, summer come and go.
Lightning strikes and diamond mines. A bloody stone adorned on mine. A morning wasted on trivial. An evening wasted on primitive things. Around here everybody knows everybody. Their past lives documented to the closest topic. At what time does the conversation start and end? Yeah, always the good guys coming to save us. Promise a good life, thank God that you can. Always got Uncle Sam ready to save us. Thank God you came, thank God you came, thank God you came. We won't thank God. We won't thank God. We won't thank God. We won't thank God. The red's done, now we working for the past. Spent a whole damn house on your wrist to praise God. Spent like 15 work a salary on your wrist. A place of chasing what you want, when you want, if you want, till it's up in dust. Billions burning in the clubs. Oh Father, please, no chasing peace. I must chase green, but honestly I feel a breach.
We want, thank God. We want, thank God. We want, thank God.
Always the good guys coming to save us. Promised a good life, thank God that you came. Always got Uncle Sam ready to save us. Thank God you came, thank God you came, thank God you came. Be a friend till the end, we'll fight the good fighting, and the lives you've changed, the effects you've made. Is this the life you made for me? Always the good guys coming to save us. Promise a good life, thank God that you came. Always got Uncle Sam ready to save us. Thank God you came, thank God you came, thank God you came. Always the good guys coming to save us.
watched the sunset, now I'm done relaxing. Time is chasing after me, I need a little substance. Not sure where it's headed, but I know it's going somewhere. Take a cab and don't look back, I'll move through all the silence. Now I'm colder than the weather, steady going under pressure. I'm finally over being low-key under these old covers. Now I'm back and I'm better, steady going under pressure. Sit back and watch the paint dry, take time and watch the dough rise. In another world I'd have control of my mind. Can't seem to get it through that things I do, but on my own time. People waiting, slowly fading. The mirror's telling me I got to grip it right in front of me. Secure the seat and don't release the opportunity. Now I'm colder than the weather, steady going under pressure. I'm finally over being low-key under these old covers. Now I'm back and I'm better, steady going under pressure. Sit back and watch the paint dry, take time and watch the dough rise. Minutes passing, hours dancing. How the hell am I still standing? Keys are rusting, I'm not playing. Melodies are infiltrating. Now I'm colder than the weather, steady going under pressure. I'm finally over being low-key under these old covers. Now I'm back and I'm better, steady going under pressure. Sit back and watch the paint dry, take time and watch the dough rise. Waiting, slowly fading. Take time and watch the dough
You're not used to fields of nothing, empty plain. A highway memorial to fill up some space. And maybe the moon's only pretty 'cause it's far away. And she only wants me 'cause I'm keeping this place. It's all the same. It's all the same. just you watch. It's all the same. It's all the same. It's all the same. Yeah. It's all the same. It's all the same.
dries out, so winter comes with the snow to blanket the town. The midday skies are clear and blue, with a cool breeze in the air. You bundle up all nice and snug with something that's warm to wear. And the midnight sun is gone away with the fall colors to show. A time to think on memories of a time I used to know. All is quiet with no one round, but your voice is singing loud. So sing away so all can hear, so the lost can all be found. And the midnight sun is gone away with the fall colors to show. A time to think on memories of a time I used to know. And the midnight sun is gone away with the fall colors to show. A time to think on memories of a time I used to know.
Is it a sign? Or is it just me? All of my life waited for a sign to arrive. Painted lines round her eyes, her eyes. All of her life, call out my name, she arrives.
Sat by the lake on the summer days. The wind through the shade made for a cool place to watch your subtle ways. What do I really care about? Am I afraid to make it known? What if this were forgotten?
Mic check. Anyone on the phone? Cameron, you there? Can you hear me, Cameron? We can't hear you. Is there anyone else on the phone? Can you hear us, Cameron? No, I thought, yeah, that's right. Is that you, Mr. Presverdia?
Yep, that's me. Thank you.
All right, we got you. Anyone else on the phone? No. Okay, we'll go ahead and get started in just 1 minute. All right. Good evening, everybody. I now call to order this meeting of the Anchorage Assembly. Tonight is March 4th, 2025. It's 5:05 p.m. This is a regular meeting of the Anchorage Assembly. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Assemblymember Myers, it's my understanding he is calling in a little bit.
Yes, he is excused until he's present.
Assemblymember Martinez,
Present.
Assemblymember Littlefield,
Here.
Assemblymember Rivera,
Present.
Assemblymember Johnson,
Here.
Chair Constant,
Here.
Vice Chair Zelatel,
Here.
Assemblymember Bronga,
I believe she is excused.
Assemblymember Volland,
Happy to be here.
Assemblymember Brawley,
Here.
Assemblymember Stolt,
Here.
Assemblymember Presverdia,
Here.
Youth Representative Bell,
Here.
Chair Constant, you have a quorum.
All right, thank you. Next, I would like to ask Mr. Salt to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Brawley, would you please read the land acknowledgement?
Yes, Mr. Chair. A land acknowledgement is a formal statement recognizing the indigenous people of a place. It is a public gesture of appreciation for the past and present indigenous stewardship of the lands that we now occupy. It is an actionable statement that marks our collective movement towards decolonization and equity. The Anchorage Assembly would like to acknowledge that we gather today on the traditional lands of the Dena'ina Athabascans. For thousands of years, the Dena'ina have been and continue to be the stewards of this land. It is with gratefulness and respect that we recognize the contributions, innovations, and contemporary perspectives of the Upper Cook Inlet Dena'ina.
Thank you. Next, we would have minutes from previous meetings, but tonight there are none because the clerk's staff has caught up. So next, we would move to the mayor's report. Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and hello, everyone. It's great to be here tonight with all of you to do the work of the municipality. So we're just about a month away from the next municipal election. One of the top things on our agenda this week has been spreading the word about the municipal bonds and levies on the April ballot. At the Chamber of Commerce luncheon yesterday, I gave an overview of the 3 areas of focus when it comes to this year's municipal capital projects. So first, taking care of what we have. From over 1,200 miles of roads to our 5 libraries, it's easy to picture aging infrastructure in Anchorage. Taking care of what we already have is a huge part of being fiscally responsible. Second, prioritizing public safety. From traffic calming to fire safety to police vehicles, we are prioritizing the tools and infrastructure to keep us safe. This year, there are 2 levies on the ballot, one for much-needed police vehicles and another for heavy snow response machinery. Third, investing in our community's future. This category is all about the projects that make our community a special place to live, including trail access and projects like Town Square Park. Altogether, these bonds and levies are a great opportunity to help keep our community moving forward. We announced our snowplow naming competition this morning. Our Enterprise GIS team, Innovation team, Parks and Rec, and Streets worked together to get our snow fleet equipped with GPS so the public can track snow clearing easily online. While we haven't had the snow to show it off this winter, we know that it's only a matter of time, and we are doing everything we can to be prepared for the next big snowfall. So to keep track of each vehicle, we need help from the community to name them. Please submit your ideas at muni.org/nameplow until March 18. We are preparing for a summit on homelessness on March 20 to 21 in partnership with the Assembly and the Anchorage Coalition to End Homelessness. We're excited to talk about the path forward on the second day of the summit and look forward to seeing partners from around the community there. Last Friday was Employee Appreciation Day here at the municipality, and it was fun to join with members of the legislative branch to greet employees and hand out a few donuts. I want to thank all the folks in our municipal workforce. They are the ones who make our community run. And as I mentioned last week, for those of you who have been affected by federal layoffs, I want to say again, we are hiring. We value your familiarity with Alaska, your work experience, and your public service. Please consider coming to work with us and joining our Muni team. Lastly, I would like to recognize the great Barb Jones, who currently serves as Deputy Chief of Staff in the Mayor's Office, for reaching an amazing milestone, 25 years of service to the municipality of Anchorage. From working in the Equal Rights Commission to being acting ombudsman to taking on the municipal clerkship, Barb has been keeping the wheels on the bus for a long time. Thank you, Barb. As always, thanks for the opportunity to speak, and let's get down to business.
All right, thank you, Madam Mayor. Next is the chair's report, and I will just say the mayor was a little bit humble in her suggestion of how many donuts we passed out when she said a few donuts. I think she missed by a couple hundred. It was a few hundred donuts, and we had a great time doing that. So good evening, everybody, and welcome to our regular business meeting. It's a rare occurrence. We have 2 assembly meetings scheduled on back-to-back Tuesdays, and I appreciate everyone's accommodation to the schedule as we look forward to spring break and all manner of adventures coming up. I'll start again by saying we have an election that is here. Here in Anchorage, spring break is synonymous with local election season. This week, the MOA elections team is getting ready to receive and send tens of thousands of ballots for the April 1, 2025 regular municipal election. Ballot packages will be sent to all qualified Anchorage voters next week on March 11th, and the last day to vote is Tuesday, April 1st. Secure drop boxes open on March 12th, and Anchorage vote centers will open on March 25th. Make sure you get your ballot back in. If it's mailed in, make sure it's postmarked before you drop it on April 1st. It's a big election with 6 assembly seats, 2 school board seats, many service area boards on the ballot, as well as 9 bond propositions, 2 levies, and 4 service area propositions. As I've said before, Anchorage has one of the best voting systems in the country, and we can all be really proud of the transparency, accessibility, and security of Anchorage elections in the past. In the past year, the election team has added equipment to make it easier for people with disabilities to vote and has advised the state legislature on ways the state can improve their elections. Don't forget to sign up for ballot tracks. You can get a text, email, or voicemail notification when your ballot package is mailed out, when it's received by USPS, if returned by mail, when it arrives at the election center, and if your ballot package is counted or if it requires to be cured. To learn more about all of this and sign up for ballot tracks, please go to muni.org/elections. Next major topic. Tonight we have an introduction of the Anchorage School District budget, which will be heard at our next meeting. The Assembly will take up the school district budget for approval We've received comments from people in the community who are rightly concerned about school funding. Our schools have been underfunded for a decade, and our education system is truly suffering. However, when it comes to this year's budget, the Assembly's power is very limited. Essentially, we can only vote to approve the budget, to approve it with reductions, or not to approve it at all. If we don't approve the school budget at our next meeting, it will go into effect anyways as an operation of law. As to the potential of increasing the budget, the Alaska Constitution makes a maximum local contribution, so the state caps the amount of funding local governments can contribute to school districts, and the municipalities invested the maximum allowed every year since I've been on the body. I say all of this to let school supporters know that while the Assembly cannot increase the school budget, we have been advocating to the legislature for increased funding for many years, including it as a priority in our legislative program and issuing resolutions of support to the legislature. While we want to continue to hear from you on your concern for school funding, I also urge you to take this to the people who have the power on this issue, your legislators, and especially the governor. Also, tonight we will be considering confirmation of 3 mayoral appointments for top leadership positions in the municipality. We held confirmation hearings for them on Friday, and you can watch the recordings on the Muni Meetings YouTube channel. To the appointees, thank you for your time on Friday, and thank you to you and your families for being here tonight and your willingness to serve the municipality and the people herein. I intend to ask my colleagues to change the order of the day to take up the confirmations, items 10D1 through 10D3, early in the meeting after we take care of item 10B1. We will take votes on the items, and then we will swear in all 3 members after that individually. With that, we'll get on with the business of our meeting. This is a business meeting of the municipality. We have, I wouldn't say a full agenda, but an agenda we have to get through, and I'll do my best to move us along so we can conclude at a reasonable hour. As a business meeting, we are here to do the work of the municipality. Please help us create a climate of respect in the chambers. Refrain from personal attacks or speaking out of turn, shouting, pacing, clapping unless clapping is called for. Keep signs to 8.5 by 11 inches or smaller. Please keep the aisles clear except when lined up to testify. Please also do not approach the dais. If you have something to share with the members, please hand it to the clerk for distribution. If a point of order is called, please stop speaking so I may rule on the point of order and the record is clear. If rules aren't followed, I may interrupt speakers to call for compliance. If compliance doesn't occur, then I may pause the meeting. If there's an actual disruption, I will give a warning. If the disruption persists or happens again, the person will be asked to leave. So with that, I'll just go ahead and move us on to our committee reports. We'll hear from the members now. Mr. Martinez.
Thank you, Chair. The next meeting of the Community and Economic Development Committee will be this Thursday, March 6th at 9 a.m. at the Permit Center. And items for our discussion will be an update for the HL Heritage Land Bank's 2025 work plan. We'll also have a review and expanding housing development around tax incentives discussion with Policy Director Nolan Clowder. And we'll also have a discussion with Graham Downey from the Mayor's Office, leading a discussion around how we begin to move forward on rezoning processes to allow comprehensive implementation of the 2040 Land Use Plan. Additionally, Chair, I just wanted to highlight that, as I mentioned at our last meeting, I had the opportunity to attend the National Association of Counties National Conference in Washington. Just arrived back home this morning, so it's been a long 24 hours of travel to this meeting, back-to-back meetings. But one thing I wanted to note and flag for your attention tonight and for the members is the degree of federal uncertainty was extremely high with respect to what the federal programs will be, what they are going to do, especially around programs like that coming out of FEMA. As you all know, as we just closed out the books with the earthquake FEMA dollars, people are concerned what's going to be happening with FEMA. People are concerned what's going to happen with housing dollars from the HUD. People are concerned with what's going to happen with the CBDG block grants and USDA dollars and other vital supports across the country, which, Chair, I wanted to flag for us because Alaska has an outsized lean on federal support. And so what's happening in the federal government really affects us now. And the recommendation is to continue to be diligent. I know some members are going next week, and to continue to track. But advocacy, as you described, Chair, to our state reps and unified with our representatives and delegates down in Juneau, are going to be really important to make sure that we can stay ahead of some of those uncertainties and do the best we can with the information that we have at this point. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Martinez. Mr. Littlefield.
Thank you, Chair. Tomorrow on March 5th, the Public Health and Safety Committee will be meeting at City Hall in room 155 from 11 to 12:30 p.m. We will be receiving updates from the Administration on Public Health and Safety Strategy Framework, Anchorage Health Department on the Alaska Center for Treatment, Anchorage Police Department on the Town Square Park cameras, Anchorage Fire Department on the 2 recent fires in Anchorage, Alaska, and also Department of Law and the Office of Emergency Management will be providing some updates. So if anything's piqued your interest, please join us for the updates. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Littlefield. Mr. Rivera.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Last week, the Quality Municipal Services and Ethics and Elections Committee met. We got a great update from our elections team. Did an initial review of potential committee recommendations surrounding AO 2025-18 and plan to do a second review with a hopeful formal committee recommendation in the March meeting to bring back to the full assembly in April. Finally, we reviewed a draft Title VII purchasing rewrite ordinance that has been years in the making. I've suggested that we have a full assembly work session on this ordinance so that the rest of the body can take a look at it. But if you're interested in the documents, they are on the committee page. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rivera. Mr. Johnson.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. The next meeting of the Infrastructure, Enterprise, and Utility Oversight Committee will be on March 20th at 11 a.m., City Hall, room 155. And I'll just plan on giving a preview of the agenda at our next meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Ms. Elatel.
No report, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Voland.
No report, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Brawley.
Thanks. Just a couple of quick reports. First, for Budget and Finance Committee, for those who are interested, the Budget Advisory Commission will be holding a special meeting on Thursday, March 6th to consider the second of 2 recommendation resolutions they have been working on regarding Project Anchorage. I have not been directly involved in those, but I believe all the materials are on the website, so tune into that if you're interested. I believe the meeting is at 11:30, but those are not on the Assembly notices, but should be on the public notice calendar. And then the next meeting of this committee will be Thursday, March 20th at City Hall. For Legislative Committee, the next meeting will be Thursday, March 6th from 11:50 a.m. to 12:50 p.m. in City Hall, room 155. We will just get some updates on active legislation we're tracking, so please check the website as there's a short list of bills there of things that we're watching. I believe that's all my updates. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Salt.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So community members are invited to a summit on Anchorage's coordinated response to homelessness, March 20th to 21st from 9:30 to 4 p.m. It's organized by the Mayor's Office, the Anchorage Assembly Housing and Homeless Committee, and the Anchorage Coalition to End Homelessness. This 2-day summit is an opportunity for community members to understand the systems and strategies the municipality and its partners are using to address homelessness in our community. Thursday, March 20th, day 1, will teach residents about coordinated entry, the system Anchorage providers use to help people move from homelessness to housing while prioritizing people with the highest levels of vulnerability. Friday, March 2nd, day 2, will convene community members, leaders, policymakers, municipal departments, service providers, and media to explore, discuss, and understand the elements of our community's ongoing response to homelessness, including shelter, services, housing, behavioral health, camp outreach, and more. The summit will be held at the South Central Foundation, Nuka Learning Institute at 4085 Tudor Center Drive in Anchorage. The event is free and open to the public, however space is limited. Strongly encourage you to register through the Assembly website. Thank you.
Thank you. Youth Member Bell?
Nothing to report. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
That's right. Mr. Presverdia?
Thank you, Chair. Well, just apologies. I am in Washington, D.C. and not able to attend the meeting in person. Thank you to Mr. Littlefield, who is going to chair the Public Health and Safety Committee meeting for me while I'm here. But no other report. Thanks so much.
All right. Thank you. All right, so that then concludes our reports. We'll now move to the addendum to the agenda. Before we get to the addendum, we'll go ahead and address the laid on the table items, which tonight there are, thankful, very few. I'll go ahead and read them. Oh boy. First one, 10F3, Assembly Information Memorandum Number 2025, Answers to Assembly Questions, Assembly Chair Constant. The next one is an item for introduction, 10G3, Resolution AR 2025 unnumbered, Resolution of the Municipality of Anchorage reappropriating and adopting Substantial Amendment 13 to the 2019 Housing and Community Development Annual Action Plan, 2019 Action Plan in the amount of $55,270 from the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development, allocation of the Community Development Block Grant to Cook Inlet Housing Authority Baxter Acquisition, Substantial Amendment 4 to the 2022 Housing and Community Development Annual Action Plan in the amount of $751,949 from CDBG to Cook Inlet Housing Authority Baxter Acquisition, Substantial Amendment 2 to the 2023 Housing Community Annual Action Plan, Community Development Annual Action Plan in the amount of $371,781 from CDBG to Cook Inlet Housing Authority Baxter Acquisition, and $390,828 from the CDBG to Habitat for Humanity Restore, and Substantial Amendment 1 to the 2024 Housing and Community Development Annual Action Plan in the amount of $754,019 from CDBG to Habitat for Humanity Restore, all within the Federal Grants Fund. So that item is now on the addendum. So, excuse me, that item is read. Yeah, so this one is a new item. We'll go ahead and move to lay it on the table. But yeah, just go ahead and
Move to lay it on the table.
Second.
So the motion to lay the item on the table is moved by Ms. Halto. The second was by Mr. Voland. This item is an item that requires 8 votes to lay on the table because it is laid on the table and it is a new item. Ms. Halto, you want to speak to the time sensitivity?
Sure. So this is time sensitive because this moves with 10 Delta 6, which is already on our agenda for tonight, and that they need to ride together. And this project is, particularly the Cook Inlet one, has been underway. I would say we didn't move to lay on the table and introduce. I would just ask that we lay it on the table and then we can take it up in the consent agenda. Thank you.
The reason why is there is some investigation right now as to how much time is required for it to be laid on the table, because we have an opportunity later this week in which we might be able to address it if it falls within the code to get it done. And maybe, Ms. Alto, you can follow on the why.
Sure. So in speaking with the CEO of Cook Inlet Housing, we learned that the Baxter development is being charged by the seller per day for the delay in the project. And we had a special meeting noticed for this Friday. And if we are able to repurpose that special meeting and meet the code requirements, we would like to move expeditiously. Thank you.
All right. So the motion now is to lay the item on the table. Is there any objection to the motion? Hearing and seeing no objection, the motion is adopted unanimously. Item has been laid on the table. All right, so now I would like to ask for a motion to incorporate the laid on the table items, the addendum and the laid on the table items.
So moved.
Second.
That was moved by Ms. Alatal, second by Mr. Voland. Any discussion? Seeing here none, I'd like to ask unanimous consent. Any objection? Hearing and seeing no objection, the item is incorporated. The agenda is taken care of. So now we're going to go ahead, and we don't have any appearance requests. We're going to work our way through the consent agenda. The consent agenda items are number 10A through 10F and are typically routine or non-controversial, such as bid awards, new business, information reports, ordinances, resolutions for introduction. The items on the consent agenda may be approved, accepted, introduced by the Assembly by a single vote on a motion to approve the consent agenda. Prior to approval, items may be pulled by Assembly members for discussion and separate vote on each of those items. Under the Assembly Rules of Procedure, all ordinances and some resolutions will have an opportunity for public hearing at a future date. So we'll go ahead and take care of this now. We'll start with you, Mr. Salt, or Mr. Presrudia. Any items to pull?
Thank you, Chair. No items tonight.
Thank you. Mr. Salt?
10B2 for discussion.
So there is no discussion on an item for introduction? Oh, 10, I'm sorry. Sorry, my brain. 10B2. Okay, sorry about that. Well, and then Ms. Brawley?
No items at this time.
Mr. Boland?
10B1. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. And for members' information, that item is an item for action, but it will be treated tonight like a reading resolution. And so we're going to kind of blend the boundaries a little bit there. Okay, Ms. Zalatil.
10 Delta 1, 10 Delta 2, 10 Delta 3, 10 Delta 6, 10 G3, and 10 G2. Thank you.
I have 10D 1, 2, 3, and 6, 10G 2, and 3.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Johnson.
No additional items.
Mr. Rivera.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. No additional items.
Thank you. Mr. Littlefield.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. No additional items.
Thank you. Mr. Martinez.
No items.
All right, Mr. Myers, have you joined us?
Yes, sir. No additional items. Thank you,
All
Chair.
right. So we note for the record he's present. Thank you. So I'll walk through the list one more time. We have 10B 1 and 2, 10D 1, 2, 3, and 6, and 10G 2 and 3. Any additional items? Okay, I don't hear any, so we'll go ahead. I'll ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda minus the pulled items.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is to approve by Mr. Voland, seconded by Ms. Zalatil. I'd like to ask unanimous consent. Is there any objection? Hearing and seeing no objection, the consent agenda is approved minus the pulled item. Next, I would like to take up item 10B1.
Move to approve.
Oh, I got to read it first.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
10B1 is Resolution AR 2025-66, a resolution of the Anchorage Assembly requesting Alaska's congressional delegation to support the Ensuring Lasting Smiles Act, championed by Alaskan Emily Brubaker. Now
I will move to approve.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Voland, seconded by Mr. Rivera. Would you like to speak to it?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Thank you. And yes, I as you stated, we don't often read items from resolutions for action, but I think this was a kind of a special one to highlight and beg the indulgence of my colleagues. I want to thank our legislative services team for working on this, and in particular, Ms. Veneklausen for helping draft this. And we are fortunate tonight to be joined by Ms. Brubaker. So if you'd like to come up to the podium, please do, feel free. And I will go ahead and read this now. A resolution of the Anchorage Assembly requesting Alaska's congressional delegation to support the Ensuring Lasting Smiles Act, or ELSA, championed by Alaskan Emily Brubaker. Whereas the Ensuring Lasting Smiles Act seeks to ensure that children and adults born with congenital anomalies, such as cleft lip and cleft palate, have access to the medically necessary treatments and care they need throughout their lives. And whereas the Act aims to require private health insurance plans to cover all medically necessary treatment, including surgeries, therapies, and associated care, for congenital anomalies without imposing lifetime or annual limits on such coverage. And whereas individuals born with congenital anomalies often face a lifetime of surgeries, speech therapy, dental care, and other medical needs, making access to comprehensive health care essential for their well-being and quality of life. And whereas many families struggle to afford the high cost of necessary medical treatments, especially if their insurance plans limit coverage for congenital anomaly care or do not cover specific procedures, resulting in financial hardship and delayed or inadequate care. And whereas ELSA would provide critical protections for families by ensuring that private health plans cover medically necessary treatments and services for congenital anomalies and prevent arbitrary limits on the duration of care. And whereas the Ensuring Lasting Smiles Act was brought to the Assembly's attention by Emily Brubaker, an 8th grader at Romig Middle School, when she was honored by the Assembly for her significant achievement as the winner of the National Civic Speak Contest. And whereas Emily was born with a rare congenital anomaly called hypohidrotic ectodermal dysplasia, which affects the development of skin, hair, teeth, nails, and sweat glands, dental work for this condition is likely to cost her family more than $100,000. And whereas beginning at the age of 6, Emily has taken several trips to Washington, D.C. with her family to share her story with members of Congress, encouraging them to pass the Ensuring Lasting Smiles Act, requiring private health insurance plans to cover diagnosis and treatment of congenital anomalies and birth defects, which some insurance companies deny coverage as dental care. And whereas the Ensuring Lasting Smiles Act was last introduced in the 117th Congress as H.R. 1916 and S. 754, so House and Senate sides. The bill is being rewritten and may be introduced in the 119th Congress with Senator Jody Ernst and Tammy Baldwin as the primary Senate sponsors. Currently, there are no primary House sponsors. Now, therefore, the Anchorage Assembly resolves. Section 1, the Assembly urges Alaska's congressional delegation to support the passage of the Ensuring Lasting Smiles Act to ensure comprehensive, affordable, and uninterrupted medical care for Alaskans with congenital anomalies, and urge lawmakers to continue advocating for policies that guarantee equitable access to vital health care for all individuals. Section 2, we resolve that a copy of this resolution be distributed to the appropriate policymakers, including Senator Lisa Murkowski, Senator Dan Sullivan, and Representative Nick Begich, to further promote the importance of this legislation. In Section 3, this resolution shall be effective immediately upon passage and approval by the Assembly. And so we have to take this up and actually pass it, so I'll stop there. But I will thank Ms. Brubaker for being here tonight. And if it's okay, I would like to turn it over to Emily to say a couple words. Is that in order, Chair?
Yes, go ahead. The microphone is not on, so you hit the little green button and it'll come on. There you go.
Hello, thank you for having me here today. So, when I was 2 years old, I was diagnosed with a congenital anomaly known as hypohidrotic ectodermal dysplasia, which has since affected my hair, skin, and teeth. Now, as mentioned in the resolution, since I was 6 years old, I've been going with my family to Washington, D.C., and going to Capitol Hill and speaking with senators and representatives and members of their staff about the Ensuring Lasting Smiles Act. This act would ensure that my family does not have to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars potentially out of pocket for my dental and medical needs in the future, and that is why it's so important to not only my family but other families who have the same problem, that the Ensuring Lasting Smiles Act is passed. And I want to share that in 2022, in the 117th Congress, the Ensuring Lasting Smiles Act was passed in the House of Representatives. However, it did not make it all the way to the Senate floor. So we're very hopeful that it will be reintroduced in the 119th Congress and that it will be passed in both chambers, and that my dental needs and the dental needs and medical needs of hundreds and thousands of others around the entire country would be covered by medical insurance. So I would like to thank each and every one of you for supporting this resolution. It does mean a whole lot to me, and I'm very glad that it's gotten to a point where it's being recognized by the whole Anchorage Assembly. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, go ahead.
If I may, February is Ectodermal Dysplasia Awareness Month, and we have these flyers from the National Foundation for Ectodermal Dysplasia, and Emily's featured in them.
Great, thank you. If you give them to our clerk, he'll make sure we get them. Thank you so much. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
All right. Madam Vice Chair? Yes. Madam Mayor, please go ahead. Thank you. I was wondering, is it too late to be added as a co-sponsor? We gotcha. Thank you. Mr. Rivera?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. So I just wanted to thank Emily for your leadership and for bringing this issue forward to the Assembly. We don't often weigh in on federal issues, but it definitely helps when there's a local advocate who is working with the Alaska Congressional Delegation, so thank you so much. I just want to quickly highlight one part of that resolution which speaks to the lack of sponsorship from the House side, and hopefully that's something that can be remedied in short order. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rivera. All right. We'll go ahead and move on to item 10B2, Resolution AR 2025-67, a resolution of the Anchorage Assembly requesting the Planning and Zoning Commission to review district and neighborhood plans and recommend whether they should be advisory to the comprehensive plan or make policy and budget recommendations to remedy the inequitable availability of funding and the lack of plans for every district or neighborhood. Mr. Solt, you pulled this item?
Yes. Motion to approve.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Solt and seconded by Ms. Brawley. Mr. Solt.
As I mentioned, I just wanted to pull this for discussion and give yourself, the sponsor, an opportunity to speak to it and to what you're trying to achieve or accomplish. Thank you.
Ms. Alto.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Mr. Solt. So this has really come up. Neighborhood and district plans are a little bit of catch as catch can. You have to find the funding. You have to see what you can make happen. And if you've been on this body long enough with me, you'll know that right now the Midtown District has 0 neighborhood or district plans. We have a Midtown District plan working right now, and that is only made possible through ARPA. But neighborhood and district plans, once they're adopted, they have the force and effect of being part of the comprehensive plan. So I don't think that that is fair and equitable in our system. But whether or not they should be advisory or if they should continue to be a part of the comp plan and we figure out the funding is something I want planning and zoning to consider. They deal with neighborhood and district plans as they are implemented, so I'm curious how useful they are to them. They can also take a look at the budgetary mechanism. And it took a 6-month runway in the resolution that refers the question over to them. There are exhibits A and B so that they have something to look at. So if they were to choose to make them advisory or change how to initiate a comp plan amendment for Eagle River, Chugiak, or Girdwood, that work is done. We learned during the home initiative that asking them to come up with something whole cloth isn't the right way. So we went ahead and drafted what that legislation might look like, and they have current code so they can consider current code, proposed code, anything in between, and advise the body.
Anyone else? Oh. Ms. Brawley.
Yeah, thanks. And I had a little bit of questioning with council earlier, so I won't share all the details of that, but really just wanting to understand exactly what this resolution does, because I've heard some confusion about it. So please correct me if I'm wrong, or I want to hear from the sponsor. It seems like it is essentially asking planning and zoning to review the draft code changes and have a discussion about it as you laid out. Can you give us a little more understanding of the other sections that are in here, whether those also go to planning and zoning, or kind of what the thought is there. And I'll say also, as I read them, they seem like good ideas, but I just want to understand kind of how that fits with section 1. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks for the question, Ms. Brawley. So it all goes to planning and zoning to consider. So there are really 2 issues for them to, actually 3 issues for them to take up. The first is whether or not neighborhood and district plans should be advisory or essential elements of the comp plan. If it is the latter, the second issue is how do you fund that? The third issue is how does Girdwood and then how do Chugiak-Eagle River initiate comp plan amendments, or not comp plan amendments, but new comp plan processes? I think we've learned through the Girdwood comp plan, the process isn't necessarily smooth in that a nonprofit had to initiate it. And also, how do we ensure that those plans actually get funded because they are a requirement? They are comprehensive plans, so maybe they should be treated more on par like the Bowl comprehensive plan instead of separate and distinct processes that, but again, it's just asking for recommendations. It isn't actually asking for a change.
Thanks. I think that clears it up. I think there was some kind of assumption that this was going to enact those code changes now, or that it would make a specific direction or requirement, but I'm not hearing that in your responses, so thank you.
Correct. Thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Perez-Verdia, if the chair had to step away, so you would need to get in touch with me if you need to, if you want to be in the queue. Seeing no other members in the queue, members may proceed to vote.
Assemblymember Perez-Verdia?
No.
Assemblymember Myers?
Yes.
The chair says yes from the floor, but he's coming up so we can record his vote.
Yes. On a vote of 7-4, AR 2025-67 has passed the body. All right. All right, so the next items on the agenda, we don't need to change the order, are going to be our confirmations. So next we'll take up item 10. Again, we will do all 3 of these votes first, then we'll do all 3 of the next processes next. So we'll go ahead and go through the discussions first. So 10D1 is AM 216-2025, executive appointment confirmation hearing, Kelly Toth. This item was pulled by Ms. Alatel.
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Alatel, seconded by Mr. Voland. Any discussion? Just say, look forward to the work. So if not, members may proceed to vote.
Member Myers?
Sorry. Yes, I was on mute.
Assemblymember Perez-Verdia?
Yes.
On a vote of 11-0 and the youth member votes
Yes.
yes, AM 216-2025 has passed the body. Next, we'll take up item 10D2, AM 217-2025, executive appointment confirmation hearing, David Persinger, general manager, AWU. Ms. Alatel.
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Alatel, seconded by Ms. Brawley. Is there any discussion on the matter? Ms. Alatel.
Thank you. So I just wanted to say I'm really pleased with this appointment in particular. Mr. Persinger has had a way of communicating with me, at least as a member, that I genuinely appreciate. We often get complex things from AWU, and he does a really good job of breaking those down and keeping the open lines of communication open. It is big shoes to fill, but I think he's up to the task, and I'm really pleased with this appointment. Thank you.
Right. Anyone else? Hearing and seeing none, members may proceed to vote.
Member Presverdia?
Yes.
Member Myers?
Yes.
On a vote of 11 to 0, and the youth member votes
Yes.
yes, AM 217-2025 has passed the body. Next, we have item 10D3, AM 220-2025, executive appointment and confirmation hearing. Marjorie Harrison, Library Director. Ms. Alatel.
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Alatel, seconded by Mr. Boland. Any discussion?
Mr. Constant.
Thank you. I am really excited for this appointment. It's excellent to have a highly qualified library professional with a master's level degree, plus decades of experience, somebody who's worked in creating secure and safe libraries, somebody who's worked in creating library expansions, and somebody who's worked in diverse communities across the country. And so I'm pretty happy to see that. And after the confirmation hearing Friday, it became clear that the community is paying attention. And so the reality is that this position has somehow been a football for generations of Anchorage residents, and I'm grateful to see a touchdown right now. So I know it's a sports metaphor for a library, but it's a little weird, but you know, there's probably some reading one. But anyhow, with that, members, if there's no one else, may proceed to vote.
Member Myers?
Yes.
Member Presverdia?
Yes.
On a vote of 11 to 0, and the youth member votes
Yes.
yes, AM 220-2025 has passed the body. So now we'll go ahead and take a few minutes to reset. We'll have folks come on up one at a time, and we'll do each one individually. We'll start with Ms. Toth, and bring up your family, and we'll get this thing set up and swear you in. And then you'll be offered the microphone if you want to make any comments, and then we'll move on to the next, which will be Mr. Persinger, and the next, Ms. Harrison. So.
So raise your hand. I solemnly swear or affirm
I solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Alaska,
the Constitution of the State of Alaska,
and the Charter of Municipality of Anchorage,
and the Charter of the Municipality of Anchorage,
and I will faithfully perform the duties
and I will faithfully perform the duties
of the Solid Waste Services Director
of the Solid Waste Services Director
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor LaFrance and members of the administration, as well as each one of you members of the Assembly. This is a big night, and I really appreciate it very much for your vote of confidence in both. It's both very humbling and exciting to talk trash every single day. In the coming days and years, we are going to be reimagining how our city deals with its garbage. And it's a very, very exciting time for our city. And it's exciting to be a part of that role in paving the way for a dramatic impact for our state. People are the most precious resource that we have. And I just want to thank the members of the Solid Waste Services team who came here tonight. Rachel, Orrin, Wayne, and James all came here to support, and that means a lot. And also thank you to my daughter, Caitlin, my husband, Jeff, my aunt who's online, and other SWS employees that are online today. So thank you. This is very exciting. And also big thank you to Mr. Spafford for his support. I have him and other previous directors on speed dial for guidance and support. And so thank you all very much. It means a lot. Thank you.
Next, we'd like to welcome up Mr. David Persinger, AWU General Manager.
I solemnly swear or affirm
I solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Alaska,
the Constitution of the State of Alaska,
and the Charter of the Municipality
and the
of
Charter of the
Anchorage,
Municipality of Anchorage,
and I will faithfully perform the duties
and I will faithfully perform the duties
of the General Manager, Anchorage Water and Wastewater Utility,
of the General Manager, Anchorage Water and Wastewater Utility,
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability. Thank you. I would like to thank Mayor LaFrance and her administration for her confidence in my abilities and for appointing me to this position, and also for all the members on this body for confirming me. This is a great opportunity. I'm really looking forward to seeing where we can go, and hopefully Kelly didn't trash the place on her way out.
All right, next we'd like to welcome forward Marjorie Harrison, Library Director.
I solemnly swear or affirm
I solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Alaska,
the Constitution of the State of Alaska,
and the Charter of the Municipality of Anchorage,
and the Charter of the Municipality of Anchorage,
and that I will faithfully perform the duties
and I will faithfully perform the duties
of the Library Director
of the Library Director
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability. All right, I just want to say thank you so much, Mayor LaFrance and the administration and all the assembly members. I am thrilled to be here and to serve the library and the municipality of Anchorage. So thank you so much for your confidence, and I look forward to doing great things.
Thanks. I will say a few years ago, the library changed from the Anchorage Municipal Library to the Anchorage Public Library because it's the people's library. It's not ours. it's everybody. So thank you for being willing to do this important work.
You're welcome. Thank you so much.
So an astute observer from the public sent us a communication and noted that we took no vote on item 10B1. So if there's no objection, we'll roll back up to 10B1. 10B1 is the resolution for ELSA, and I would like to ask unanimous consent. Is there any objection to the adoption? Oh wait, I guess we should record it. It's an actual vote. Okay, it's recorded. Is there any objection? No, seeing and hearing no objection, the item is adopted. So for those that are watching that were keeping us on track, thank you. Next, we have item 10D6. Ms. Zalatel. Oh, wait, 10D6 is AM 222-2025, recommendation of Board to Cook County Housing Authority to provide acquisition of properties for the municipality of Anchorage, Anchorage Health Department. Now, Ms. Zalatel.
Thank you. Move to postpone to the meeting of March 18th.
Second.
So there's a motion to postpone to March 18 by Ms. Zalatel, seconded by Ms. Brawley. So, Ms. Zalatel.
Thank you. So this is the award that goes with the appropriation that was just introduced in 10G3. So the order of operations is we need the money before we can make the award. So you'll see the introduction of the item when 10G3 comes before us in just a moment.
All right. Next, we have item 10G2. Oh, wait. I almost did it again. I'm ready to get through the work. Members may proceed to vote on the motion. I guess, is there any objection on the motion to postpone? It's a motion to postpone. Seeing and hearing no objection, the item is postponed to the meeting of March 18th. Now, we'll move on to 10D. 10G2. 10G2 is AO 2025-31, an ordinance amending Anchorage Municipal Code, Section 21.11.060, dimensional standard sites and buildings. Ms. Alto, you pulled it.
Move to introduce and refer to the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Second.
Third. So there is a motion to introduce and sent and refer to the Planning and Zoning Commission by Ms. Zalatel, seconded by Ms. Brawley, and I made the third. Next, we have item 10G3. Item 10G3 is a numbered resolution, AR 2025, a numbered resolution of the municipality of Anchorage reappropriating and adopting substantial amendment 13 to the 2019 Housing and Community Development Annual Action Plan in the amount of $55,270 from the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development, allocation of the Community Development Block Grant to Cook County Housing Authority, Baxter Acquisition, substantial amendment number 4 to the 2022 Housing and Community Development Annual Action Plan in the amount of $751,949 from CDBG to Cook County Housing Authority, Acquisition, substantial amendment 2 to the 2023 Housing and Community Development Annual Action Plan in the amount of $371,781 from CDBG to Cook County Housing Authority, Baxter Acquisition, and $390,828 from CDBG to Habitat for Humanity Restore, and substantial amendment 1 to the 2024 Housing and Community Development Annual Action Plan in the amount of $754,019 from the CDBG to Habitat for Humanity Restore, all within the federal grants fund. This item was pulled by you, Ms. Zalato.
Thank you. I just wanted to make you read it again. Just joking. Move to introduce and set the public hearing for 318.
Second.
Third.
So there is a motion to introduce and set the public hearing by Ms. Zalatel, seconded by Ms. Brawley, third by Mr. Rivera. Takes care of that item. So that concludes the consent agenda. Yeah, we'll go ahead and move through the 11s quickly because we can. Just a matter of note, 11B, C, and D are going to have to be postponed for practical or for procedural reasons, but we can take up item 11A tonight. Item 11A is AM 159-2025, Employee Relations Board Appointment, Karen Norsworthy. This Okay, again, procedural matters hiccuping up all around us. The previous item, the resolution that we just read, and please don't make me read it again, 10G3. The clerk reminds, we did an investigation of the code earlier today on this matter, and because it's not an ordinance, it is a resolution, and in order to set the public hearing, it'll take a vote of the body. So I would like to ask, since we that we had a motion to introduce and set the public hearing for 318, moved by Ms. Alto and seconded by Ms. Brawley, that I'd like to ask unanimous consent that this item be introduced and set for public hearing on the meeting of March 18th. Is there any objection to the motion? Hearing and seeing no objection, the item is now introduced and set for public hearing. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Okay, now we're back to 11A. 11A is AM 159-2025, Employee Relations Board appointment, Karen Norsworthy. What's the will of the body?
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Zalatel, seconded by Mr. Voland. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none. I will say one thing is, as I mentioned previously, we, myself, Mr. Falsey, and a few other people are taking on a review of AMC 330, which is the personnel code, and I'm looking forward to having members of this commission or this board involved in the conversation when we get there. So I'm grateful to have someone with so much experience. Little does she know, she's going to get looped into a long, deep project. So with that, Ms. Alatel.
Thank you. Maybe just a procedural or a process note on the ones that we're reappointing. If we could just put reappointment in the title, that would be really helpful as we scan through the agendas. Thanks.
Anyone else? Seeing and hearing none, members may proceed to vote.
Member Perez-Verdia?
Yes.
Member Myers?
Yes.
So on a vote of 11-0 and the youth rep votes
Yes.
yes, AM 159-2025 has passed the body. Next, we're going to take up items 11B, C, and D all at once. So I'm going to read them. AM 191-2025, Anchorage Community Development Authority Board of Directors appointment, Catherine Jernstrom. 11C, AM 192-2025, Anchorage Community Development Authority Board of Directors, Gabe Lehman. And 11D, Anchorage Community Development Authority Board of Directors appointment, Michael Mills. Ms. Alatel.
Move to postpone to the meeting of 318.
Second.
So there's a motion to postpone by Ms. Zalatel, seconded by Mr. Rivera. You want to speak to that?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is just to meet the appropriate noticing requirements. Thank you.
All right. Any further discussion? I'd like to ask unanimous consent on the motion. Is there any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, the item has been postponed to the next meeting. Why don't we go ahead and take up Okay, we'll go ahead and leave that one until after the break. So we'll go ahead now and take our regularly scheduled dinner break. Verdia, you're there? Mr. Myers?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Awesome.
Yep, I'm here as well.
Okay, thanks. We're just waiting for Mr. Rivera, and then we'll dive in. Okay, we're all here. Let's go ahead and go back on the record. Okay, looks like we're good to go. Next up, we have item 12A. So 12A is that we're going to take up a motion to amend something previously adopted so that we can change the date of the special meeting set for the Alaska Sense marijuana license because we missed a notification deadline and we want to make sure there's ample time for notification. And so we're going to go ahead and push the meeting slightly out so that we can, or a bit out, so we can make sure we meet all the notice requirements. Ms. Zalato.
I move to amend the motion previously adopted at the January 21, 2025 meeting to continue the public hearing on AR 2025-24 to March 7, 2025 special assembly meeting with a referral to the special committee meeting of the Community and Economic Development Committee on January 30th, 2025 by striking March 7, 2025 special assembly meeting and inserting April 8, 2025 regular meeting.
Second.
There's a motion to amend something previously adopted by Ms. Zalatal, seconded by Ms. Brawley. Shall I speak to it?
Sure. So what that does, all of those words, is just move us taking that item up on the 8th of April at our regular meeting. Thank you.
So in its simplest sense, it's taking a meeting off of our Friday calendar and putting it on our regular meeting calendar next month. So hopefully that's enticement enough. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing and seeing none, members may proceed to vote. The youth member will not be voting on this item.
Member Presverdia.
Yes.
Member Myers.
Yes.
So on a vote of 11-0, the motion to amend something previously adopted has passed the body, and the special meeting is no longer happening on March 7th. We'll now be meeting for this item at the regular meeting on April 8th, 2025. Thank you, members, for supporting that move. Next, we come upon a saga of 13A. There are a number of ways to proceed through this, I'm just going to start with the first one. For the purposes of good order, there has been a discussion about having a request to the members to remove from consideration the items that were withdrawn by the sponsors. And so the withdrawn items include the S version, the S1 version, the S2 version, the S2A version, the S3 version, and the S4 version. And so you'll note in your packet it's like 4 pages of language. I am going to ask unanimous consent that we withdraw and delete all of those items from any package that might move forward. Is there any objection from the members to eliminate the S, the S1, S2, S2A, S3, and S4 of this item? So there is no objection. I see and hear none. And so for the clerk's benefit, we have just stricken from the item 13A, all of those items. So next then, I think I just have to read the original item and the SA version. So AO 20, now before us is AO 2024-105, an ordinance of the Anchorage Municipal Assembly proposing a dedicated property tax measure to be submitted to the qualified voters of the municipality of Anchorage that would enact a sales and use tax of 3% in the aggregate on the sale of goods and services within the municipality with certain exemptions, a maximum tax amount per transaction, comprised of a 2% tax dedicated for the sole purpose of reducing property taxes proportionately throughout the municipality within the tax cap calculation, and a 1% tax outside of the cap dedicated for the purpose of a trust fund to pay for voter-approved capital projects known as municipal area projects.
Waive reading.
Thank you. We also have 13A15, Ordinance AO 2024-105SA, an ordinance of the Anchorage Municipal Assembly proposing a dedicated sales tax and economic development measure to be submitted to the qualified qualified voters of the municipality that would enact a sales tax of 3% in the aggregate on the sale of goods and services within the municipality with certain exemptions, a maximum tax amount per transaction comprised of a 2% tax for the sole purpose of reducing property tax proportionately throughout the municipality within the tax cap calculation, and a 1% tax outside of the tax cap dedicated for establishment of a trust fund to pay for voter-approved capital projects known as municipal area projects.
Wait, reading.
Thank you. The public hearing on this item is now open. Welcome. Please state your name, what part of town you're from. Are you speaking on your own behalf or on behalf of the council?
I'm speaking for myself.
All right, I have 3 minutes.
My name is Phil Cannon. I'm the president of the Mountain View Community Council, but I'm speaking as a resident of Anchorage. I don't know that I can be here on the 18th, so thank you for allowing me to share tonight. I want to just speak in opposition even to this kind of like the last standing version of this sales tax proposal. I jotted down some notes while I was sitting over there, but essentially I recognize we're in a unique position in Anchorage in that we don't have a sales tax, and most places do. And maybe someday we need to have one, but as regressive as a normal sales tax is, this one is especially regressive. And it is, I think, I want to use I'll just use the phrase I think anyhow, which is I think it's morally corrupt to reward property owners and not those who don't own property or who rent. I know that the way to get something passed, the only way to get something like this passed is to put it on a ballot, and voters have to vote for it, and that's a tough sell. And so there needs to be some sort of a bait, and so I understand why property tax kind of got into the mix, and that there was efforts, I think, to try to make it fairer. By listing exemptions and telling people if you're willing to, you can subject yourself to the humiliation of carrying a card that tells everyone that you are especially poor. But I think that that's shameful too. I've heard it said, even at the committee meeting last week, that, well, we could just put it to a vote. We could just let voters decide. I think that is disingenuous. I think that we know who votes and we know who doesn't vote. And I think that is essentially saying, let's put it to a vote to be decided by the people who vote. Knowing that you would essentially be putting something on the ballot that has bait for the voters, that essentially would carry with it a cost to neighborhoods like mine, where we have really especially low voter turnout, but we have people who deserve to be represented nonetheless. So I think that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to be heard? Anyone else? Okay, the public hearing is now closed. What's the will of the body?
Move to continue the public hearing to the meeting of March 18th.
Second.
So there is a motion to continue the public hearing to March 18th. Moved by Mr. Rivera, seconded by Mr. Salt. Mr. Rivera.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So like I shared at the work session on Friday, there are two main reasons to continue the public hearing. First, the change in the title and inclusion of language to the ballot, and especially the charter language, triggers a 7-day public notice period. That clock began on Friday with the publication of the addendum, so we technically can't vote on the essay version today. Second, there are a couple of town halls planned that Member Soltz and I will be hosting to continue hearing from the public. I do just want to give reassurances to my colleagues. I am fully on board with putting this item to bed on the meeting of March 18th. Just in case anyone was wondering if that will be as the chair stated, end of the saga, I fully intend that to be the end of the saga. Thank you.
Ms. Alato.
Thanks. And thanks for that, Mr. Rivera. I just don't believe that can be the case with two town halls and then any potential changes as a result of those town halls. The other piece that we're still waiting on, I believe, is the modeling from the administration on the implementation of the tax. And I think that's a big, important piece to making any decision about whether or not to do this. And I think if we're going to do this, we need to do it right, which would include really thinking through what it's going to look like to implement the tax. Especially, we don't know if there are any additional amendments to the SA version. So I don't think March 18th is realistic. Thanks. Mr. Constant.
Thank you. I believe we should vote this thing down. I believe we should do it tonight. I understand that the sponsors have town halls they want to have and continue this conversation, and if that's what the body decides to do, that's the body's right. I heard some very interesting information. I haven't had a chance to dive in, but I heard that there is a proposal to leverage the municipal trust now as a vehicle to establish this project as a tax program. And I am kind of horrified, if it is in fact true, that there is a proposal to leverage the municipal trust for a means to establish the tax. I don't know that I have that information correct, but it certainly will be interesting to analyze this if the motion continues and to see where this framework kind of goes. So I am not in the category that supports the motion to postpone or continue. I think we should be done, but I'm just one member. So, Mr. Rivera.
Actually, Member Brawley just put herself in the queue, so I'm happy to go after her.
Ms. Brawley.
Yeah, thanks. I just had a question regarding what Ms. Alatel said about analysis. My understanding is we did get what we're going to get, and it was it was briefly presented at the work session on Friday, but just to the administration, is there any outstanding analysis that you guys are still working on? Because maybe there's just a piece that I'm not remembering.
Through the chair to Member Brawley, we are not aware that we have any additional homework that we have yet to produce. So we have produced multiple versions of the summary of economic effects for the original version, for some of the alternative versions, and finally for the consensus version. We also shared some administrative concerns and some possible ways to address them, but I don't think that we're on the hook, or that we don't know ourselves to be on the hook for additional homework.
Thanks. Yeah, that was my understanding. So just to be clear, I mean, we can debate whether to postpone this, but that's my understanding of that part of it. Thanks.
Mr. Volland.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You know, I'm torn on this for a couple of reasons, but you know, I've been at all my community councils letting folks know what the sponsors of this latest version, what your intent is to have the town halls and bring this back again for yet another public hearing. I guess a question, and I think I'd like to hear from both of the sponsors, because I've arrived at my own position, but I do think there's value in public process, and a lot of the community is still getting caught up on this conversation. I think I'd like to hear from, if it's okay, from each of the sponsors, Member Rivera and Member Solt, what you're hoping to get out of the town halls. Are they more like information? Is the purpose more like public education, public information, or will it potentially inform your position or any amendments you may bring forward? Just hoping to hear from you what you're hoping to get from those town halls. Thank you.
Mr. Rivera.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Happy to start on that. So the town halls, I mirrored these. Well, first, the reason that any town halls are being hosted in the first place is because there was a request by a community organization to host at least one town hall, and so I promised that we would do that, and so these two town halls are fulfilling that promise. But in terms of why these town halls and what we're hoping to get out of it, I mirrored these town halls quite similarly from the alcohol tax town halls, which I helped to organize back in the day. And what I'm hoping to do is hear from the community, inform the community of the proposal we have at hand, what it does, hear from the community, and it may inform us of additional amendments, it may not. It's going to be all up to who shows up and what they bring to the table. Addressing that issue that Vice Chair Zolotel brought up, the town halls are tomorrow and Saturday. I am very confident that between the 8th and the 18th, that gives members Solt and I plenty of time to consider any additional amendments to the proposal and hopefully have them well in advance of the meeting of the 18th so that you're not seeing them on the day of the vote. And then Member Brawley already addressed the implementation issues. The administration has been a great partner in exploring a lot of the implementation issues, and the work session, I think, talked in good detail about that. Thanks.
Mr. Salt.
Thank you. Echo what Member Rivera said. We've had numerous outreaches, requests for presentation from organizations, from community councils. We've had numerous work sessions. Probably one of the more vetted ordinances since I've been on the assembly. So I think this is probably one last opportunity to allow public that has missed one of those opportunities to come in and talk to sponsors. And I viewed it more as an education event. Again, we've gotten a lot of feedback. We've made a ton of modifications. So the odds of something coming out of it that's going to really surprise us are probably slim, but that odd is still there, and I would like to take it, see if we can make this a better product at the end of the day, whether it passes or fails. Thank you.
Okay, no, I appreciate those answers. I think given those answers, I will likely support continuing the public hearing and allowing you to all to have your expanded public process. I will say one thing that I do think is also helping me, moving me over the edge is I really do appreciate your efforts to host one of those town halls on a weekend in Mountain View, at the Mountain View, the community room at the library. I anticipate that you will hear some robust discussion from that neighborhood, and I think it does go a long way to help with some accessibility into this conversation. I know there's some folks in that part of town who feel like they've been maybe left out of the original conversations. So my thank you to the sponsors for choosing that location, and on a Saturday when more families who work could potentially participate. Thank you.
Youth Member Bell.
So I just have a clarification question and then sort of a follow-up to that. Just to be very clear, is there any possibility that any drastic changes would be made to this ordinance following the town halls?
Mr. Rivera.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. To Youth Member Bell, it's all going to really depend on the feedback that we get. So I wish I had a crystal ball and can tell you that if we're going to get some pretty interesting feedback that asks us to add an exemption or make other changes, that's all going to depend on the feedback that we get. So what I can assure my colleagues, as I stated earlier, is that if there are any changes, that certainly the goal is to get all of that out into the public sphere by the addendum on the 18th, so everyone can, the addendum of the meeting of the 18th, so that everyone can look at those in advance of the meeting.
So in the event that there are changes made, I also share some of the same doubts as Vice Chair Zolotel that we'd be able to wrap this up by the meeting of the 18th. And if drastic changes weren't made, as of right now, this ordinance is not something that I would support. And so I think, in my opinion, it would be best to maybe not continue the public hearing and finish dealing with this tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, thank you is Mr. Martinez, then Mr. Presverdia.
Thank you, Chair. I have already voted on this item, and so my position on the entirety of the item is pretty clear. I'm not in support of it. But just to flag of why we're having this particular discussion, Chair, it seems that unless the colleagues can clarify for me something different, the deadline that folks have identified is essentially artificial. You're making up your own deadline, right? There is no deadline. So technically, the road show or the town halls could be a year-long process to bring this to a 2026 ballot initiative in a whole different way. So there could be other processes. So I just wanted to highlight that fundamentally the constraint of time around the deadlines they're all artificial. We've already voted this down from the April ballot. My hope was that it would go away. It didn't. But technically, it can tonight, and the call for people who are continue to be interested in this project to continue to have public engagement doesn't have to go away necessarily. So I just wanted to be clear about that as well. I think those are two distinctly different timelines. So I'm not inclined to continue this any further, Chair. Thank you.
Right, Mr. Presverdia.
Thank you, Chair. My question was already answered.
Right, thank you. So I'll let you go, Mr. Salt. I have a kind of process comment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll just say I think the sponsors are equally eager to see this come to conclusion. But as you've seen through this process, we've tried to be very measured, very methodical, not spring a lot of changes on people, and we've been working towards the 18th date. And that would be our preference, to continue that process versus all of a sudden spring on everyone that thought they're going to get 2 town halls and an opportunity to testify on the 18th and attend that meeting, to find out that we changed our agenda and jumped the schedule and voted tonight. Thank you.
Ms. Brawley, you would be in the queue, but I would like to go first if you don't mind. Your comment is just perfect for where I am at, Mr. Salt. I have been frustrated by this process because in some ways it feels like, and this is no aspersion to your motivations, I believe you're both good faith operators and you've done a good job. So that's the baseline. But this process has felt like it's edged into advocacy and edged a bit into a place where it feels like it touches on those parts of our code that say don't do this, which is kind of political and partisan activity, which is a gray area, right? And so I've had a lot of time to sort through my feelings on this because I'm in the chair and it's my duty to help you meet your goals. And I have to act against my own interests to do that sometimes. But what you just said, Mr. Salt, was that you don't want to change this or you want to change it to the 18th because you don't want people who thought that they would have a chance to testify on this after those town halls. I was very frustrated to see the town halls put forward before this vote for that very reason, because it's like a snafu scenario where we're damned if we say no because the public now expects to have these meetings. And for those of us who've been making our points, we've been waiting for the chance to get this question answered. And so it's a bit frustrating. And again, I do not levy upon you any ill motive here. But you said that they thought they would have the chance. And now I'm put in a point where I look like the guy trying to cut someone off from having a chance to speak because I wanted to follow the process that was on the agenda. But then this thing got published afterwards, after we made the decision that made the train look like it was going to be moving, and therefore now. Anyhow, so for all those reasons, I have a lot of frustration with this process. And I'm in that space. I can get over it. But Ms. Brawley.
Thanks. Yeah, I'll speak in favor of postponement. I mean, we're talking about 2 weeks, first of all. That'll be the next meeting. And I do understand that these town halls have been noticed and advertised. I advertised them because I wanted people to engage in this conversation. And I think big picture, what the city has right now is not going to work for us forever. It's already not working. We can't pay for things. We can barely pay for operations. There's just a lot of things that we really need to step back and say, what do we need? What does the public support, right? And that's a much bigger conversation than this item. But getting people engaged, at least in this proposal, to ask, what do you want to see is the first step. And so I see these as concrete opportunities to gather data, to get information. And I think, obviously we're talking about a specific item, this ordinance that we're going to be looking at, or have been looking at really, but we're going to come back to. But I think bottom line is this is a much bigger question that we need to ask the community. And so I appreciate the sponsors for bringing it forward. I appreciate making the space at the town halls. And with my planner hat on, I think engagement is good. And so anyway, I speak in post, I hear all the frustrations about the process, and I know that sometimes we get in these proxy conversations about the actual item, when it flows out in a different way. But I think we should just let this move forward, and we're talking about 2 weeks. So I'm going to vote in support of postponement. Thanks.
Ms. Alaton.
Move to postpone indefinitely.
Second. Motion to postpone indefinitely by Ms. Alaton, seconded by the chair. Ms. Alaton.
Thanks. So, I think we need to start over. And again, it's not because this has been a very iterative process. I love iteration. I think it's a good new baseline to start from. And I think the town halls are a great opportunity to gather data and clean it up and continue the engagement to see if there's a new opportunity to bring something forward. My apologies, I had missed the work session and hadn't seen the statement of economic effects in those documents. I've looked them over, they're great. Thank you for providing those, my apologies. But what's in those and what is concerning to me as I read them here tonight is I haven't seen a substantial move from the 2% property tax reduction. And to me, that when we had the special committee meeting, every version, every opportunity I have come forward at least did something more like a 50-50 split or something more. And this report by CED just underlines the regressive nature of what is being put forward. And so I don't think it's impossible to overcome, but it needs more time, thought, and work with the community to overcome it. So I think that there's something here to start with. I think this conversation must happen. I originally was taking the sales tax as something I didn't want to engage with. I actually didn't think it would be done or move through in the time I had left on this body. But I got excited. The idea about additional revenue letting us meet some of our community's needs is an exciting proposition. And I appreciate that it's been put forward. I just think we need to start more with the big questions. Why? And then what is the vehicle? And then how do we want to do it? And right now, the why was determined by a group of business advocates. And I appreciate their why, but I need the community's why. I need the rest of the whys so that we can all have all the whys on the table. Then we can talk about what that looks like, a combination of discussing the bed tax, a sales tax, what property taxes, what does all of that look like, and then how do we want to go about doing it. So for that reason, I think we just need to put this to bed and figure out a way to systematically move together both the assembly and the administration to have this revenue conversation to see if we can't get there. Thank you.
Mr. Volans. Oh, wait, I'm sorry, Mr. Volans. Mr. Presverdio is first. Mr. Presverdio.
Sorry, it took me a second to get off mute. Thank you, Chair. I would like to speak in opposition to the motion to postpone indefinitely. There's been a tremendous amount of work to bring this forward, and it's not just a small group of people. They did a great deal of outreach and community input, and I think it's really important that we bring this to a vote. And so I'd really encourage my colleagues to not vote to postpone indefinitely, to give the sponsors 2 more weeks, and to bring this forward for a vote. So that's what I'd like to say. Thank you.
Ms. Vaughn.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I do still feel quite conflicted on this, just because I think in a lot of cases having more public process doesn't hurt necessarily. However, I share Member Zolotel's concern, and in hearing the sponsors' answers about likely not having substantial changes. I mean, that for me is the real big hang-up, is that property tax offset piece. And we did have that opportunity to have the special committee meeting, and I think on some of the stuff we feel, at least I felt really heard, but I think the public testimony that we heard here tonight from Mr. Cannon does capture for me one of the big problems with this, which is that property tax offset piece. And if people are exempted, what does that implementation look like with carrying the card, et cetera? And so I think I can support a sort of going back to the drawing board moment here. I want to acknowledge, to Member Perez Verdia's point, it has been a lot of work, and I guess gratitude and also apologies to Assembly Council for all the versions that you had to draft, and also to the administration for the analysis that you helped prepare. And it has been, I think, sort of a Herculean effort. However, I'm also hearing from many of the constituents that I serve that they never felt drawn into the process, or that they had a voice into it. And so I think given all of that, I'm going to partially reverse my earlier comments, and I am going to support the motion to postpone indefinitely. Thank you.
Mr. Rivera.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. So obviously I won't be supporting this motion to postpone indefinitely. I appreciate the comments by the Vice Chair. I actually have a different interpretation of the CED report, but I'm not prepared to give my interpretation of that CED report in full today. I certainly will be prepared to give my interpretation of that CED report on the meeting of March 18th. With regard to the issues of some of the larger discussions, I agree that there needs to be some lengthy discussions about the overall finances of the municipality and how we fund ourselves. But that's not what this proposal is. The larger discussion needs to happen, not in lieu of this proposal, but on top of this proposal. And then I guess last I will say, and it gets to my main point of why we should hold off until the meeting of March 18th to make any kind of decision, and you guys are sort of forcing me to put my cards on the table. Sort of reading the political tea leaves, there is an amendment that I don't think is ready today, because I didn't ask council to have it ready today, that will do what some members have asked for, which is to change the split to 50-50. I didn't intend to talk about that today or even bring it up until it was possibly needed on the meeting of the 18th. If you're interested in that, then you need to wait until the meeting of the 18th, because I don't think it's ready today. Thanks.
Mr. Martinez.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to first express my appreciation to the sponsors for their hard work. Do not take my aggressive nature about this ill-conceived idea as anything personal. And fundamentally, Chair, I just wanted to lay out something that I think we may be missing here. And so the nature of this item that we're talking about with respect to the postpone it or not is essentially an item that is not only about a sales tax, but it's about a potential special election as well, Chair. And so there's, in my mind, there's no way that this body should be in any position calling for a special election at the end of the summer. So I don't know what we expect on the 18th to happen, but I will be flat zero against that. It's counter everything that this body stands for with respect to the nature, the notion of why we have April elections. And so if we're going to get to the 18th just to push it to next year, well, you have a whole year if you start today, and I'll give you 2 weeks head start by ending it tonight. So fundamentally, Chair, it's just I wanted to express that appreciation to my colleagues, but the item is calling for a special election this year as well, Chair, and that's extremely problematic, let alone the details of the actual item itself. And so for that reason, there is no foreseeable future past the 18th that doesn't lead to a no for me, because I'm not going to go for a special election, and let alone this item doesn't speak to the interest that I represent in my community at this point. So I don't see how the 18th is going to move us unless folks are ready for a special election. And I think that that's a question that we are overlooking tonight, that this particular item still calls for. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. And I'll just
Mr. Constant.
close it out and say, I was sitting in a cafe on Friday having a lovely, very ranging conversation with an active member of the community, serves on the AEDC board. And we talked about this a bit, and then somebody who is a very long advocate for this project came up and took the opportunity to talk at me for 45 minutes and lectured me that what Anchorage needs right now is to have some different money than all of the money we have in our restricted road service areas, limited road service areas for EMS. The money we have available is just slightly above all of those service areas that we have to do anything with. Therefore, we need this money. The gist of the argument was, we need unrestricted money, which was really funny when I thought about this tax proposal, because this tax proposal is 100% restricted money. And what that means is this is no different than where we are today, just a little bit more of this problem where we are today. And there's nothing put in this bill that actually solves any of that. It just extends the problem and buys us new shiny things that we're going to have to figure out how to manage, like the PAC or other buildings. And so there is no argument where the structures that are put in place with this tax proposal do have any means of providing new revenue for us. It provides a few new projects, and that's it. And then it exports revenue from our town, from our neighborhoods, into the deep pockets of the largest commercial property owners in this town, in the state, and also well out of state. And so for me, the entire framework of this project needs to be rethought. And there's no amount of adding additional exemptions that you can show your card to get that are going to make it achieve, for me, any sense of new revenue that would tackle the problems that we face, including our roads and parks, and including our police and fire, including how we're going to manage fire on Hillside. It's instead a bit more ooh-shiny until the bill comes due and we are left with an empty bag. And we've spent the goodwill of the community trying to fix this problem. Some people say, well, that doesn't matter, just get this, and then in 7 years you'll be able to fix it. That's a most cynical argument to me. Anyhow, for those reasons, I strongly support the motion to postpone. I'm confident it doesn't pass tonight, but I'll have, as Mr. Rivera suggested, a more fully developed argument to oppose again. With that, members may proceed on the vote to postpone indefinitely.
Member Presverdia.
No.
Member Myers.
No.
Vote of 4-7, the motion to postpone indefinitely has failed. Any youth member votes?
Yes.
Yes.
Chair.
Mr. Salt.
Does that bring us back to the motion
to postpone to the meeting of the 18th?
Yes, thank you.
Ms. Zalatel.
Thanks. I still don't think it's enough time. If there's a big amendment coming, which has now been previewed, I would like to see it, because I had amendments that if this thing was going to a vote that I want to bring, and I feel like throughout this process, like creating a new version, it's always been waiting on whatever the version is going to be. And it's not the sponsor's fault. There was a lot moving. But now, if amendments are coming, I would love to see the amendments sooner rather than later if we're going to bring this thing to a debate and a vote, because they directly impact. If you're making changes and I'm making changes and we're all making changes, then what? And I think that's my concern. I mean, I had already, in seeing the version, sent 5 amendments to council, and they haven't seen the light of day yet. And I think we've got to figure out, if we're going to debate this and think about it, then we need to get them out there, because the public needs to see them as well, and they probably need to see them before the last public hearing. So just some thoughts there on how that might work.
You asked the question, where are we going? I can say where we've been: S1, S2, S2A, S3, S4, SA. That's where we're going. Thank you. Anyone else? Members may proceed to vote on the motion.
Member Presverdia?
Yes.
Member Myers?
Yes.
On a vote of 7-4, AO and the youth member votes
No.
no. AO 2024-105 SA has been postponed to the meeting of March 18th. Excuse me, not postponed. The public hearing has been continued to the meeting of March 18th. All right, next up we have AR 2025-40, a resolution of the municipality of Anchorage appropriating additional pledged tourism room tax in the amount not to exceed $1,225,742 within the 2024 Convention Center Room Tax Fund 202010 to provide for a payment to Visit Anchorage ACVB for the additional pledged tourism room tax under the professional services contract with Anchorage Convention Visitors Bureau, Visit Anchorage, and the use agreement for Civic Ventures in the Office of the Municipal Manager. The public hearing is now open. Anyone wish to be heard? Anyone at all? Seeing and hearing none, public hearing is now closed. What's the will of the body?
Move to postpone to the meeting of April 8th.
Second.
All right, so there's a motion to postpone to the meeting of April 8th. Moved by Ms. Salatil, seconded by Mr. Voland. If you don't mind, I'd like to invite Ms. Soppy up. Thank you and welcome. I think we're going to be scheduling a work session in which we try to get some information from Visit Anchorage, kind of a report on how you see the operation of the overall contract and the funding arrangement, and we'll send this to you. You don't have to write it down. You can though. How the 4% has changed year over year from a financial perspective and its adequacy. What are the funds doing? Essentially like a 5-year report. What is Visit Anchorage doing with the funds? What can Visit Anchorage do with the funds? And what does your financial operation look like, including your operating budget, your reserves, and your assets? So we can have an opportunity to look at the overall picture of the financials, and as we are moving into the contract end, and have a conversation about where we direct the total package of these funds in the future. So we're going to have a work session. I don't know that we picked a date. We probably should have done that this morning. But probably we'll coordinate with you to make sure it's time you're available and have time to get us a response. And so just in the simplest way, I would say, think about it like a 5-year report. Just send us a note and tell us how it's going, but we'll get you this information. Yeah. Thank you.
Is that all?
If you want anything, yeah, you have the microphone.
No, we'll wait for the work session and the April 8th meeting.
It will definitely be before April 8th, and it's kind of a tight calendar, but we'll get something kind of probably between the 28th and the 8th. So right, thank you. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing seen none, we'll go ahead and ask for unanimous consent. Is there any objection? I hear no objection, so this item is postponed to the meeting of April 8th. Thank you. All right, so thank you, Member Bell. The remainder items are alcohol and marijuana license items, so we'll excuse you. Next, we have item 15A, which is AR 2025-68, a resolution of the Anchorage Municipal Assembly stating its conditional protest regarding the transfer of location of club license 1494 for 35 Plus Singles Club, Inc., DBA Anchorage Social Dance Club, located at 549 West International, Unit B, Anchorage, Alaska, 99518. The public hearing on this item is now open. Anyone wish to be heard on this item? On this item? All right, welcome. Okay, please state your name, what part of town you're from. You'll have 3 minutes.
I go to this Anchorage Dance Social Club. I've been going there for 20-something years or more, and we had moved to a different place, and you can't carry your alcohol license, and I believe that kind of hurt us. I think this is a good thing for a Anchorage Social Club. I think I have never really seen very few people there drunk, because it's a club and they have restrictions. And thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to be heard on this item? Anyone at all? Seeing hearing none, public hearing on this item is now closed. What's the will of the body?
Move to approve. Second.
Moved by Ms. Salatel, second by Ms. Brawley. Any discussion? Seeing hearing none, members may proceed to vote.
Member Myers?
Yes.
Member Presverdia?
Yes.
On a vote of 11-0, AR 2025-68 has passed the body. Next, we have item 15B, which is AR 2025-69, a resolution of the Anchorage Municipal Assembly stating its conditional protest regarding the transfer of location of package store license number 2614 for AK Inc., DBA Speedway Express, located at 3608 Minnesota Drive. So the public hearing on this item is now open. Anyone wish to be heard on this item? Anyone at all? Seeing hearing none, public hearing on this item is now closed. What's the will of the body?
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Salatel, second by Mr. Voland. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, members may proceed to vote.
Member Presverdia?
Yes.
Member Myers?
Yes.
On a vote of 11-0, AR 2025-69 has passed the body. Next, we have item 15C, resolution AR 2025-70, resolution of the Anchorage Municipal Assembly regarding the renewal of municipal marijuana cultivation license M12125 and manufacturing license M12471 for Alaska Wild Coyote LLC, DBA Alaska Marijuana Gardens and AMG Concentrates, located at 838 Bonanza Avenue, Anchorage, Alaska 99518. The public hearing on this item is now open. Anyone wish to be heard on this item? Anyone at all? Seeing hearing none, public hearing on this item is now closed. What's the will of the body?
Move to approve. Second.
Moved by Ms. Salatel, seconded by Ms. Brawley. Any discussion on the item? Hearing and seeing none, members may proceed to vote.
Member Myers?
Yes.
Member Presverdia?
Yes.
On a vote of 11-0, AR 2025-70 has passed the body. That brings us to the next part of our agenda, audience participation. Anyone wish to be heard? Welcome. Please state your name, what part of town you're from. You'll have 3 minutes.
Hello, my name is Mark Vokov. I'm on West Side, and I would like to speak about the sales tax real quick. I'm slightly confused about why we need to do town halls. I feel like we've done, pretty in-depth conversation about, problems with this sales tax, problems including the shipping tens of millions of dollars out of state. ignoring, the fact that the offset hurts renters who make up about 37.5% of the population of Anchorage, among, a whole slew of other issues. So I really am confused about why we need more time more time and more ideas when we have a plethora of problems that need to be fixed. And I have not seen any fixes for these. So hopefully you guys can fix those issues, before then. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome. Please state your name, what part of town you're from. You'll have 3 minutes.
I'm William Baxter. I'm from Fairview, but I like to talk about animal control. For bear and that, you guys are spending money for bear garbage cans and stuff like this. I know a lot of people won't go hiking because they're afraid of the bear, and I think we need to do some animal control in Anchorage. It'll help if you have chickens, they have feed. Bird feeders attract bear, and when you have more chickens and you have that, you're going to have more problems with predator control. Thank you.
Welcome. Please state your name, what part of town you're from. You'll have 3 minutes.
Hello, I'm Miss Sophia O'Neill, and I reside in Eagle River. We need to remember that any functioning, contributing member of society can become suddenly marginalized, placed amongst the amassed stereotypes. These are victims of circumstance. So along with being victims of circumstance, without acknowledgement to their specifics, people become victims again at the hands of others by the types of offers for assistance or the undeserved generalized labels. Too many seeking help are forced to coincide and forced to cope dealing with those against society. Too often people are grouped by the use of limited perceptions along with limited information. This sets into motion a non-informational mindset that doesn't value, listen, or question with any empathy or respect, nor post-fact is research done for the answers to what's presented to them. These gaps create forced solutions that do not last. Not having a foundation of research-based fact or the realization that information, if posed, asked correctly, doesn't need to traumatize. Conceive then that people speaking up, this isn't to challenge any one person, but to rather empower a different approach and perspective, hopefully leading to the dismantling of a larger accepted groupthink that comes out in assistance interviews and the overall treatment of the disenfranchised. The approach mentioned has manifested over years and has created acceptance of disinformation of what it actually means to be disenfranchised, how it happens, and therefore, this accepted groupthink of even agencies that assist do not yet create solutions. Thank you.
All right. Anyone else in the room? Welcome. Please state your name, what part of town you're from. You'll have 3 minutes.
Yes. All right. Jamie Lopez, East Anchorage, formerly Coalition, formerly Homeless. Largely unprepared remarks. Moved by Ms. O'Neill. She always has good things to say. Yeah, what do I want to say today? So I'd like to thank Ms. LaFrance and the administration for having a certain number of focus groups. They've been largely private in nature regarding the unsheltered here in town. And while it's nice to see some engagement to try and get ideas from people that are you're attempting to help, you need to do more. And by doing more, I mean you're having a summit here in 2 weeks. And the summit is largely meant to engage the providers and the people that you're trying to convince that you have a response plan. But part of this is bringing people to the table and the people that you're attempting to help, because they are stakeholders. You need to bring them in, make sure that they're vested, and get them at this event so that you have a discussion of the people that are out there so that ultimately you can come to a sort of consensus and move forward towards a plan that isn't just putting people in housing, because that is part of the equation. there's a larger equation which has to take into effect the people that do not want housing at all or that will never go into housing. And that's the long game. And the end game is getting to the acceptance stage that you're not going to solve this for everybody, and you need to get to that stage. But that means accepting that, you know, those that challenge you may have a vested interest in reaching a solution that works for business owners, works for the homeowners, and also works for the people that are outside and going to be outside for years and years, because the 10,000 homes in 10 years plan, it's based on knowing the total population that's out there, and the total population is being listed out there is nowhere near accurate. It's a lot higher. So in closing, I'd like to say, I hope you're open to having discussion. You know, sometimes I challenge people up here. I see a lot of failures in the system, and I talk about them a lot, and I know I'm walking into a firing squad when I do it, but it's because I have the best interests at heart. Thank you very much.
One person for the telephone.
Your call cannot be completed as dialed. Your call cannot be.
Perfect, thank you. We'll go ahead now and move on to our assembly member comments. We'll start with Mr. Presverdia.
No comments. Thank you, Chair.
Actually, Youth Member Bell, since you're here.
No comments. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Salt.
No comments, thank you.
Ms. Brawley.
No comment.
Mr. Boland.
No comment, thank you.
Ms. Salatella.
No comment.
Mr. Johnson.
No comment.
Mr. Vera.
No comment, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Littlefield.
No comments, thank you, Chair.
Ms. Martinez.
No comments.
I'll just say, don't get used to this. The next meeting, March 18th, probably goes till midnight. Oh, Mr. Myers. That's right.
Right. I'm glad you said that, Mr. Chair. I was just going to say I can't believe I missed a meeting this quick. Have a good night.
Good night, everybody. Yeah, so just be prepared. The next meeting will probably go right till the end. So with that, we're adjourned.
I hate when I'm sober. Let me love you down. 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 Let me kick my feet up, watch the sunset.